Hey everybody, Scott here, and I am back to do some in-post work with you on the shots from the Cabrillo Tidepools. My last episode of In the Field, we went down to the tide pools, took a bunch of different compositions, some different shots. Thought I'd walk through the post-processing on one or two of them here with you. So let's get over the computer and go through that.
Here are the two shots of the tide pools. This top one here, and then beneath it, another view of the same thing. And the reason I brought two of them in is I like the waves in the background on this layer. On the top layer, I like the spill and the action of the foam here. So I'm going to do some quick blending of these two so that I can pull in the waves from the background and maybe a little more detail around this spill. I'll show you quickly how I did that. I grab the masking bug, I'll drop it on here and rotate it around. So you can see I'm bringing in this wave here. I like that flat rock there too. So something like that, kind of just using the land here as a natural line. And that's pretty good to begin with. And then I'll probably grab the masking brush here. Let's bring that down to about 50%. Just start to paint through this area here to get a little bit more of these details. So I repeated this and blended it through a little bit better and ended up with this combined image here. So you can see that these waves have been brought in, these rocks are brought in, and I smoothed out this area, pulling in a little bit more of the spill here. Now let's pop over into effects and I'll show you the stylization to bring a little more life to this scene. So this is the final image in effects. Here's the before, here's the after. Let's walk up the few items I added to this to bring this image more to life. So here's our base image, and the first thing I did was enhance tones. And really for the tone, did the auto setting and added a bit more detail. So some of these crevices and crannies in the rocks are coming through better. Next was an adjustable gradient, and this is to darken. You can see immediately it's darkening the sky, so I'm using the darken preset, and then I played with the brightness to get it to my taste. I also did a gradient. I didn't want to darken this lower corner, so you can see if I toggle the mask on, you can see I removed the effect from this lower portion. I removed the gradient there. So toggling that on and off, you can see I'm darkening most of the scene. It's bringing some of the color back into the sky and back into the rocks, but I'm not washing out this area and keeping this generally bright here. This is the focal point of the image. This is this little spill here. All right, next was color. So you're going to see the color very subtle, very slight touch. If I turn that on and off, it's just a little tiny bit, and it's mainly showing up in the greens. You can see the preset is a custom. Did an auto for the temperature, played with the blues a little bit to bring in more blues, and I think I did some stuff in yellows and greens too. Let's see. Greens there. Boosted that up a little bit, mainly for these, this eelgrass here. All right, on to dynamic contrast. This is really what's going to bring the cliffs to life. So all of that texture is coming through. And notice the mask, and I toggle that on and off. You notice the water is not changing. I didn't want to add any more crispness to the water. So again, if I show you the mask itself, see I've removed the dynamic contrast effect from the water. And I was, reasonably careful with the brushing, but it wasn't, this wasn't a precise mask, even up to the sky. It's not going to matter. There's no details there to enhance. And as you get to the cliff edges, it just blends in nicely, even if you're not doing a pixel by pixel mask. And the last step, of course, a vignette, just to bring your eyes in toward this area here. These rocks are pointing this way, this is pointing this way, and even some of these lines here, as your eye moves up and moves away, you can get drawn back into the scene. So there we go. Once again, here's the before, there's the after. Let's look at one more shot in the stylization of it. This was a single frame, there's no blending involved, nothing fancy with masks or layers, so I'm straight into effects here. Here's the initial image I took, and here's the final stylization. Let's walk up from the bottom. First is a tone enhancer, and that's predominantly for the foreground, the cliffs. Again, here's the mask where I've removed that tone enhancer from the sky. I don't want to touch the sky at all. It's a nice soft orange, and the colors of that are going to come through as we add more effects. Next is color. Very straightforward. I'm using an increase preset color. Nothing special there. Oh, I forgot to show you the options on the tone enhancer. So again, it was an auto tone enhancer, and that's really it. Wasn't adding detail with this tone enhancer. This was just to get the tones in order, the lights and the darks. Okay, so that was tone enhancer. Color enhancer is the increase color preset. Now, another tone enhancer, and this was to add a little more of that orange, reddish glow that was happening. At this point, the sun is very low on the horizon off to camera right. You can see it catching some of the crests of the waves, and certainly in this, splash and spill here. And so what I did there was pull down the greens just a little bit and pulled up the reds in the highlights just a little bit, so particularly the foam of the ocean is going to get that extra touch of red. And for the blue channel, we left that alone. Didn't do anything there. So the before and after of that, you can see it adds a much more of a this is sunset, this is the end of the day feel. Dynamic contrast next, and this is for the rocks. I'll show you the mask. I'm using Control M on a Mac, and I have removed a lot of the effect from the sky and the water. It's a relatively sloppy mask, quite honestly, but it doesn't need to be that intense. This is mainly for the major bodies of water that if I left the contrast on, this would get very harsh. Now there's already a lot of spray being thrown up, and so as we go off into the distance, it's already getting soft. And down here too, I didn't take as much contrast away from the foreground. That would start to look a little bit unnatural. Our brains would reject that, saying something doesn't look right here. And so focused the contrast on the rocks, backed it off a little bit on the water to keep it soft. And next was a glow. Now this was specifically for the water, to give that a more soft, little bit of a dreamy feeling. I particularly like how it's affecting these waves rolling over these rocks here. You can see here, and then it just gets softer a little bit. Like I said, a little bit dreamy, a little bit, I don't know, somehow more appealing to me. And you can see the mask. I started with just a large masking bug gradient to remove all of that glow effect from the cliff faces, and then painted in that mask on the rocks as well to remove it from the main parts of the cliff. Kept some on the edges there as this gradient fades out, so there isn't a harsh transition. And really our eyes are going to focus on these cliffs, and as we move out here, it gets softer, it gets, just, I don't know, more, like I said, end of the day feeling. And last, of course, finishing off with a vignette. You can see the settings there. My typical way of vignetting: position the vignette where you need to, and then play with the brightness and feather to focus the eye where I want it to go. In this case, right around here. So that's it for this styling. There's before, and there's after.
So there we go. Nice change. A little more basic things. I didn't have to do tons of blending or things like that. Just a little bit, and that was more simplistic. And yeah, really just some basic, simple adjustments, touching a little bit of color. Again, my philosophy on landscape photos is capturing that feeling that I had when I was there. And so I'll play with color, and I'll blend two different elements together, because that's how I remember the scene, and that's the memory that's in my mind. So I'll be back again soon. In the meantime, got questions, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And let me really feedback. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you want to hear more about. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye.